as we are coming to the close of a very individually, personally, and also collectively trying and tumultuous year, right, that has been 2020. And we are close to that precipice and traversing that threshold into an entirely new year full of likely new trials and challenges, but also endless possibilities and the ability to plant new seeds and grow those into new relationships, new exciting experiences, and so much more, right? That all is there for us in the fields of the ripe fertile fields even, of 2021. I wanted to share an insight, a parallel that really dropped into my lap as I was out walking past the snow-capped mountains here in Colorado, where I reside, and just a favorite patch of land by a lake that I frequent a lot. And that is that 2020 worked in a la via the same process that psychedelic substances do, right? When we have an experience with them, and that is through non-specific amplification, right? The idea that psychedelics, and then I would say also as a metaphor, exactly what we have mostly experienced in 2020. 2020 worked through being an undiscriminating catalyst, right? For and along that continuum of light, gray, and shadow that is deeply embedded within our psyche and encoded within each of our own nervous systems. And we saw this play out also, within the microcosm of our own lives, and also then through the macrocosm of really almost the entire world, certainly the United States, yeah. And this process of non-specific amplification, I think through psychedelic substances, without the right context and guiding and tools, both pre and post-integrative, the context set, and I think also a similar parallel to 2020, can and likely did feel for many of us chaotic, disjointed, frustrating, and just like things were constantly being thrown at us, initiations out of nowhere, what we maybe focused on and intended equally, or 50-50, like chance, whatever, very fickle, felt like what we then also didn't focus on and what we were maybe suppressing or casting away equally surface for attention, right? For our support and integration. And hopefully, if you really leaned into the edges of this essentially healing and transformational process this year, like you would in a psychedelic experience, you were able to seek the right support and resources around you, and or galvanize them within yourself, access new reserves for facing, feeling, and freeing sensations, experiences, you name it, that maybe without the friction and tension of this year, similar to a psychedelic catalyst, you may not have actually ever gotten to, right? You may have not actually moved through and fully brought into the fullness of yourself. Yeah. So the reason that I want to share this is because as we come to the end of this year, similar to if you're having accessing any non-ordinary states of consciousness or doing some very different kind of healing work, and which has like a really fast and hard and non-linear momentum to it. It's important for us to come out the other side of all of that and really have the ability to anchor that into the physicality of our bodies, and then into that self that exists and interacts with other people and also the world around us, right? So I'd invite you to sit with some of the following questions, right, that may really help you maybe make some sense out of, or find, most importantly, the coherence amongst and through that process of non-specific amplification that has been this year. Okay, so first and foremost, I have these written down, so if you see me looking down, it's just to be sure that I hit them as I have them written here. Question number 1, right? How have the experiences of this year, either individually and or just as a collection, changed my thoughts about myself and that self in the world, and maybe even in ways you can't fully put into words? Maybe it's sensations, feelings, visuals. What is it that has shifted for you, right? Through this process that really maybe didn't follow, you weren't totally prepared for or expecting, it didn't follow a linear A to B, B to C type of, path, right? And along those lines, also, what deeper aspects of your person, of your selfhood, revealed themselves to you this year, right? And how did you show up in connection with and meeting them? Yeah? How also did you navigate any emerging opportunities for healing and or even innate healing intelligence and intuition within the microcosm of the body, or the relation of that microcosm in your life? Yeah. Another question. I think it all falls in one specific category. And then we also have, I think, the importance to reflect on the idea of how did you tread this year that continuum of surrender versus control, right? Where and how did you traverse that bridge? And what did you learn, right? Maybe about trust in the process, surrendering to the process, the good or magnificence that can come out of the unexpected, and or what you might have previously really just deemed as negative or hard or not worthy of feeling and facing. And what insights did you come away with by not really being in the driver's seat, right? What was that like? What was hard? What did you learn? What beauty came out of that, right? Overall, standing where you are now, after all the experiences of this year, again, similar to the way that you might engage with a psychedelic substance, what, where, and how are you potentially feeling an enhanced sense of possibility, suggestibility, openness, and expansion? As we come to the close of this year, that begs us so much for the necessity to really take stock of what happened, process it, integrate it, choose and decide, delineate where we would like to be going in 2020, how we can really show up and serve, break old collective paradigms and models that simply are not working any longer, right? And also then tangentially do that within our own lives in the ways that we show up as individuals and in our interactions and relationships. I'd like to also say that it's really important, that some of this work, finding the coherence and anchoring into the body, what has happened, can't always be done on your own, fully on your own. I'm putting all this video together and all these questions so that you can sit with them and get as far as you can on your own and go as deep as you're able to. And know that similar to the way in which, right, 2016 placebo-controlled, double-blind crossover study showed that after a single dose of psilocybin treatment, nearly 5 years later, following a cohort of approximately 29 people, the positive effects still remained. One dose, one experience, one concentrated sort of catalytic, non-specific amplification process lasted for 5 years. And one of the really, really important components of that study specifically, I'll put the link to it in the bio or in the comments below this video, is that it occurred within the proper context and setting, and a deeply supportive psychological and emotional container, right? Both in the pre and the post integration of that, right? So that is where I would end this video, and just saying, if you're looking to upgrade your experience, whether it actually is a psychedelic experience, or it was just, how do I really integrate and have those positive therapeutic outcomes from what felt very chaotic, uncertain, maybe even triggering, activating from this year that has been 2020. Know that there are somatic integration coaches such as myself, also a psychedelic integration guide that can help you with that. And I would really welcome your answers to some of the questions. Like, let's get dialogue going about what we have come away with after this year, and how we're able to anchor that and move forward into new trajectories for 2021. And of course, I am so open to receiving you as a potential client. If there's a way in which I can facilitate you to better come through this process that you're just really struggling with, yeah, I would love that. So I'll leave you with that, and I so welcome hearing from you. I really hope this has been useful for you, and I'm holding in my heart nothing but the best and positive possibilities to come. Yeah.